Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, heroes and villains. I'm your host, Deshaun Fauntleroy. I know your time is precious, so we're going to get right into today's episode. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing having a growth mindset, overcoming setbacks, and we'll get into discussing stress and pressure. Within this call today, I want to apologize right off the bat because the audio will change. I'm going to do a screen share where I'm going to be sharing the audio and video from my online course. So for those of you who don't know, the kids that are in my mastermind group, we meet virtually by Zoom so I can see everybody and I can also screen share. So within this call that we had, I did a screen share of my online course, The Edge, and I shared the video module of the growth mindset. So once again, thank you for listening. You're going to be hearing from my student athletes in our forum, our mastermind group, and we're going to be discussing having a growth mindset, how to overcome setbacks, how to deal with stress and pressure. What's the difference between stress and pressure? Stay tuned for today's episode. Peace and blessings. To learn more about the Sports Mastery Mastermind, visit sportsmastery.com/mastermind. And now back to the show. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And the first part of this discussion is we're going to be talking about having a growth mindset. So I want to check in with each of y'all, real quickly, and we'll start with you, Logan. Everybody, mute your mics right now. So, Logan, what comes to mind when you think of having a growth mindset? What does that mean to you?
To me, it really is like thinking of pushing past the limitations or certain things that kind of are out of your control and you can't control, like the uncontrollables, as you call it in the workbook. Some people use that as a limiting factor in their play, but the growth mindset is kind of being able to see past those and just really play at their best potential in any situation.
Okay. Gabe, unmute your mic.
What's up?
When you hear the term growth mindset or having a growth mindset, what does that mean to you?
Being open to new possibilities, not just being stuck in your ways. We're actually learning about this in economics of all places, but it's basically just like you got to be open to new views and can't just be content with your own way.
Yeah. Do you have any more specific examples? Personal?
Personal examples. Okay. So I'm kind of in a time in my life where I got to choose what I want to do, and I gotta have a growth mindset because I've wanted to do engineering my whole life, but I also got to be open to new possibilities because I've come to the realization that I might not be that good at the math that you need to do, and I can either choose to keep going down that path, or I can look for other career opportunities that would be better fitting myself instead of just doing what I've always thought I wanted to do. So that's an example of having a growth mindset.
Go ahead and mute your mic. Charles, what does it mean? What comes to mind when you hear the term having a growth mindset?
Like being able to grow in different areas, I guess.
Yeah. First of all, I need you to speak up, man, and you using a term that's in what I'm asking you, so you have to be more specific.
Okay, so a growth mindset, to me, in my opinion, is the ability to grow in different places. So, growth mindset maybe in school, in sports, and having the ability to grow in those areas, and having the mindset to grow in those areas.
Yeah, what specific areas though? I mean, where do you feel that you can grow at, right now in your life?
Probably math in school, academic wise.
Elijah, I think you might be. Has anybody seen Juice?
Julius?
No, Juice. The movie Juice with Tupac in it.
Oh yeah, I have. I've seen that.
Charles, he kind of got that high top fade like Bishop. Yeah. I like that, Charles. If you to know what I'm talking about, you're gonna have to go back and watch Juice with Tupac in it.
Yeah.
But Elijah, yeah, that old Bishop was a cold character in there.
Yeah, he was cold. He was cold.
Yeah. What does that mean to you, Elijah, having a growth mindset based on your experience with your football season this year?
To me, it means being open to other people and different cultures, and yeah, that's what it means to me. Just
You gotta speak up. You gotta speak into that mic, man. It's hard to hear you.
To me, it just means being open to different people and different cultures. You know, to me, that's what it means.
Okay, so what's that been like at your school or in your team? I mean, have you met anybody specific from another culture or ethnicity, or what does that mean?
Like at my school, it's this one kid. I forgot what nationality he is, but we had to do like assignment together. So I just had to kind of get to know him, and we built a relationship. And now we're friends. So like, we talked about like things he go through and I go through. So,
okay,
like, being open.
Right. Kel, we're talking about having a growth mindset here. So when you hear the term growth mindset or having a growth mindset, what does that mean to you?
I think it means So I think it means like developing your opinions, not just based off of your first what's the word? Like your first interaction with someone or something is like a growth mindset is more developing your opinions on something. I don't know if I phrased that very well.
Yeah, well, what has there been a particular instance in your life where you can reflect on where, you went through like that phase or metamorphosis that at the end, you could see the growth from a particular situation, be it learning or playing sports?
Yeah. I don't know off the top of my head. I need to think about that a little more.
Okay. Jonah, did you go?
No.
Yeah. So what does that mean to you, having a growth mindset? What comes to your mind? And, give me a personal experience. Reflect on something.
Yeah, okay. For me, I guess that's probably meaning like, I don't know, not like adding on to your current experience, but I guess like, or I guess kind of like adding on or like enhancing what you already know, and probably wanting to like learn more about something, I guess. And for me, I guess that would be, I guess like far as school wise, like if I don't know how to explain it. So probably like when I'm in like math class or probably like English class, and it's something that I'm already like familiar with, and there's something I want to know more about, I would probably want to get to know more about that subject, I guess. I don't know if that sounds right, but
yeah. So when you want to learn more about something, what are some of the things that are required? What do you do? What action do you have to take?
Probably like more research or putting more time into that exact subject, or wanting to, stay after or put extra time in to learn more about what you want to learn about, I guess.
Yeah. So how would you go about putting more time in? Like, how would that work?
Probably just like staying after school and being able to talk to the teachers and be able to talk to somebody who's above you so they can help you if you have any questions.
Yeah, I like that. And that's what I was looking for, was the human interaction and you having to talk to somebody that might be a superior or have a higher ranking to a degree.
Yeah.
CJ, you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does having a growth mindset mean to you when you think back on some of the situations that you've been in your life leading up to this point? What does that mean?
Thinking back on some of the
You got to speak up a little bit. You kind of at a distance.
Oh, you hear me now?
Yeah.
Thinking about some of the stuff that I went through, and having went through it, it just shows me how much I have to keep a strong mental mindset and tell myself that I have to keep pushing through it, and I can't let anything affect me throughout the whole way, or else I'll have myself steer off track and end up somewhere where I don't want to be, and stay on the path that's going to get me to where I'm supposed to be in the future.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So based on you staying on the path and having like your growth mindset, because it sounds like you know what you want and where you want to go, what have you been doing day to day, or like what's are some of your day to day strategies to keep having a growth mindset to get to where you want to be?
So yesterday, I thought about just putting a list together of some things that I have to do consistently to keep bettering myself on the field, off the field, in school, surrounding myself around the right people. And I just follow those steps day by day.
Yeah, I like that. So what we're going to do, hold on, I got to take this mic out so y'all can hear. It's just weird like this. All right, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Gabe, you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay. I want everybody, leave your mics on for a minute. I want to make sure that y'all can hear this. Hold on for a second. Can y'all see this video?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. Hold on for a minute. We're on to the G now, which is growth. Can everybody hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the video. How do you grow? The only way you're going to grow, you're going to have to learn to do more in terms of your time, energy, and probably making investments from time to time. So what do I mean by that? You're going to have to learn to put more on your plate. What does that mean? That means stress. You're going to have to learn how to deal more with stress, because you're going to be, when you're trying to become a leader, when you're trying to do something on a high level, there's going to be a time where there's tension. There's going to be friction. It's going to require more effort. It's going to require you to do more of your own due diligence. So stress is something that you can manage. Stress is something that you can alleviate, but you have to have it in order to get some growth. Now, outside of that, you're going to have to learn how to deal with and accept pressure. Because when we're trying to get somewhere, you're working towards that Division I scholarship, you're working for an outstanding SAT score, there is consequences. You might not win. You might not get that scholarship. You might not get that offer the first time around. That is pressure. Something has to be at stake. If you're watching this and listening to the Everyday Edge, when we're talking about growth, there has to be something at stake. Goals is one thing, taking action is another, but there has to be something at stake. And that's where pressure comes into play. In ancient times, it was your life if you ran up on a saber-toothed tiger. The only way you're going to really grow, you have to practice, compete, and reflect. I'll say it one more time. Practice, compete, and reflect. So you have to do some reflective learning. You have to be able to ask yourself questions as to why things came to be, or why is your level, why are you performing at the level you're at? And this could be if you're performing at a lower level or a high level. Ask yourself, what did I do the day before I had that big game? What was I doing the weeks before I had that huge game? What did I do the night before I took the SAT? What did I do the night before I took the ACT? So those are some things that you need to consider. How do you grow? You have to learn through having mentors. And then once you start learning, you have to be able to help somebody else, because what I found in my personal life, in my existence on this earth, is that when I help others, I learn the information that I once received. It takes it to a whole new level. I start to see and feel different perspectives once I start to teach. So you have to be mentor. You have to find mentors, but then you also have to work with mentees too and do your own coaching, helping others and bringing them up. So the D in Everyday Edge is for growth. You have to learn how to accept and understand pressure. You have to learn how to accept and understand stress. You're growing to a whole new level, and you get to a point where you don't put stress on yourself. And then when you're in the pressure situation, you can handle it more effectively. Look at these two terms constructively. That's how you will grow. And I can promise you, when you find some proper mentors and you start finding you some mentees, that is going to bring things full circle. Okay, can y'all see that? 10 strategies for growth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I want to go through this right quick. CJ, go ahead and read number 1 and number 2.
As much as possible, keep your attention focused on this moment right now. Immerse yourself in what you are doing, even if it's tedious or boring. Savor what you are doing without allowing your mind to dwell on the past or ponder the future. Stop worrying about what others think. This can be life-changing. Once I stopped worrying about what others would think of me, I was free to become fully myself. I was able to be authentic. There is so much pressure to conform to certain standards and ideals, but we must create our own personal system of reflection that is true ourselves.
Yeah. Thanks for reading that. That's a trip, man. It was like almost 2 was for you. You know, like, or number 2 was for you, damn near.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Logan, read numbers 3 and 4.
All right. 3, focus deeply. Rather than trying to do many things at once, focus on fewer things, but with deep focus. Strive to be engaged in the task at hand and remove other distractions. You don't learn much when you pull away every few minutes to an electronic device. 4, embrace failure. No one likes to fail, but accepting failure is a necessary element of success. You encounter failure because you had the courage and creativity to try. Failure teaches us how to be better and learn from our mistakes. If we can spend our lives avoiding failure, we take no risks. If you want to live a big life, you must take risks and embrace failure. You gratefully accept the gifts that failure offers, and so you can move on to success.
Okay, thank you. Jonah, I want you to read 5, 6, and 7.
Okay. Rewire your brain. We each have huge potential for learning, change, and growth. This is particularly true in how we think about ourselves. Our thinking impacts our motivation and outlook on life. If our thoughts are consistently negative and self-crucial, we are training our brains to accept these thoughts as true. By practicing positive thinking with thoughts of self-respect, we can retrain our brains to believe new things. Practicing positive thinking isn't just feel-good nonsense. It actually changes your brain chemistry. Stop struggling. Sometimes bad things happen and we get frustrated or are agitated. Instead of fighting against the person or situation, just observe the situation. Let things unfold instead of trying to force it. Simplify everything. Life can be complicated and demanding. We are overloaded with information, obsessed with bullying stuff, and have numerous obligations. However, less is truly more. Less stuff, events, and to-dos can feel liberating and open. Get rid of stuff, streamline your schedule to the most important things, and distance yourself from people who are zapping your time and energy. You need emotional space, physical space, and time to live your life rather than racing through it.
Kel, go ahead and read 8 and 9, Kel.
Define your values. To live a full life, we need guideposts to help us make decisions and set goals. Our core values are those guideposts. These values are the most important principles for your life, where every major life decision and action should be supported or reflected in these values. If you don't define your own values, then society will decide for you. When you know your core values, you know your motivation for the goals in your life. Be curious. You're never too old, too smart, too experienced, too rich, too powerful, or too creative to learn something new. Approach each new experience and relationship with anticipation. Allow yourself to try something new and savor every aspect of learning. Not only does this expand your capacity for joy and personal fulfillment, but it also makes you a more interesting and approachable person.
All right, Charles, I want you to read number 10 with authority.
Okay. Kindness and manners are underrated. When you practice kindness, you inspire others to do the same and creates a very powerful ripple effect. Be kind to people, speak warmly, smile, say thank you, hold the door open, and offer others to help. We can elevate ourselves and those around us by being kind and decent people.
I'm going to put my mic back on. Bear with me for a second. Gabe, are you there?
I'm here.
So going back to the video on growth, what were 2 or 3 takeaways from that?
Two or three takeaways. Let's see. I'd say the number one thing for me was to put more stress on your plate, like to practice that. That way you don't crack under pressure. And I actually really tried to do this last football season by trying my hardest in practice to put myself in those situations. That way I didn't have to think in the game, because thinking makes you slow. Probably a second thing would be to have like a routine and then analyze your routine and try and reflect on it and make sure, like, say, like, what did I do before that game? Why was that a good game? And I think reflection can make you a really good football player and really good athlete if you look at it. And then you said the top 3 things for a growth mindset were to practice, compete, and then reflect. And I think I can definitely take that into my next season, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, how many tackles did you finish with on the season?
I want to say 120 or more.
Okay, I can dig it. I like that. You was getting busy. Mm-hmm. So you was averaging about what? Anywhere from 10 to 15 tackles a game?
Yep.
I think you're the only senior in the group, Gabe. And let's be honest, you've played your last game. The hangover is over now. What would you do different if you could do it over again? For our younger people that are juniors and sophomores and freshmen on this call right now, what would you say to them 100 right now as far as the truth?
I mean, for me, I definitely have a lot of regrets about, and it wasn't necessarily like, I'm just kind of angry overall about my doctors and how they weren't able to identify that my wrist was shattered last year when it happened. And so that kind of that angered me, and I just keep thinking about, like, how much better could my season have been if I didn't have a broken wrist. And I think what I could have done instead of worrying about that is just enjoy the moments that I had left with my teammates. And yeah, because I mean, you truly don't get it until it's gone, until you take your pads off for that last time.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Gabe. CJ, what did you get out of the video in this chapter so far?
I was saying the same thing as Gabe. Like putting more stress on your plate. I mean, going through every week, I've had a bunch of stress anyway, some other stuff, and outside of on the field stuff with coaches and all that other stuff. But just that stuff just adds more fuel and brings out the competitive nature in me to just want to go out there and prove everybody wrong that isn't really on my side or anything like that.
Yeah, it ain't nothing. What was it? Was it Cat Williams who said that? You ain't doing something right if you don't have any haters.
Yeah, I think so.
So I can certainly understand that. That's for sure. And we all have them. But if you don't, you're not doing something right. You're being too nice, to too many people. It's funny because saying nice, and I remember a few weeks ago we were talking about star, and I had the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary out. One thing I can tell you guys is words change over time. And if you can find an old Webster's dictionary that maybe was written in the 20s or 30s, tell me what nice means in that dictionary. And you'll understand where the term comes from. Nice guys finish last. But I'm not going to digress too far. Logan, what did you get out of this series, out of this chapter on growth?
Well,
what did you get from the video? I'm sorry.
all right, yeah. Well, I really liked the part where it was talking about putting more stress on your plate. It's pretty much just, practice makes perfect. So if you practice being under stress, you won't crack under it. So that's something really nice, and that's something I thought that was pretty cool, and just kind of just preparing for like moments like I don't know, like goal line stops for defense or something like that. Kind of like that's what I seen was certain situations where you just gotta go full force, or kind of like the pressure's on. Say it's like the playoffs or something. Just you gotta just pretty much don't crack. Like there's a lot of distractions, especially with football, like crowd and stuff. You just gotta stay focused and keep going. And practicing that will definitely help you to do it in the future. I think there's a military saying that says proper preparation prevents poor performance. So that's really what I got out of that.
Yeah. So you got some knee you got some knee stuff going on. You've been playing.
Yeah.
What's going on with your knee? You've been playing on it like the whole season, and there's something going on with that.
Yeah. So the last game, they put me down at a nose guard because I can't cover anyone with my the mobility I had. So pretty much played nose guard the whole game. Then Monday, since we lost the game Monday, I had a doctor's appointment, and they took X-rays of my knee, even though I still have problems in my quadricep, which haven't even been addressed yet. But they said that I have osteocroidal lesion. Yeah, osteocroidal lesion in the medial side of my knee. I'm scheduled for an MRI, and I might need surgery. So.
Yeah. I mean, I know you played through the pain all year. Yeah, shit is. I mean, you know your pain better than anybody, but I know what you had to go through. As far as, was the pain really there? Was it mental? Was it psychological? And turned out, the trainer kept saying you was fine, probably just like what you was going through, Gabe. And then come to find out, you needed, an X-ray and then an MRI and to see if you need a surgery or go do physical therapy. And they string the shit out. It's really ridiculous, But nevertheless, y'all got to figure out a way to grow from this and get past it.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Charles, what did you get out of the growth video?
Probably like when you were talking about like sharing your talents with other people once you've received, or like not received, but like once you have like knowledge of like what to do and like sharing that. And that was like, I guess, important to me because like going into the basketball season, like tryouts are next week, and then I think practice is maybe a week or so after that. And so since I might be like maybe one of like the more skilled, maybe more better people on my team, I could like share my skills and abilities with other people on my team to not make myself better, but like making my team better also with me. So.
Well, one thing I will say, I will interject, Charles, and specifically on this because I kind of know where you're at in the situation you're in. This is one of those things where it's going to be kind of different, where I would say you want to hustle your butt off every single day and you really don't have any friends and you ain't trying to make any friends until you make the team. You know what I mean? Because I know the situation in soccer and you never know what can happen. So I need you got to go get busy every day and just out hustle everybody. And then, show somebody something, when you make the team,
Yeah.
that's for you. This situation is a little different, but I can appreciate that. Keep that in the back of your head. But right now, when you go into training camp, it's all about you and your attitude and you hustling and you leaving all distraction aside and just paying attention to the coaches and no horse playing, no small talk. You know what I mean? That you can't have no excuses to get cut, period.
Mhm.
You know, and I know you got haters because I know where you are, period. Just a little something to think about. Kel, let's hear from you, man. What did you get out of the video on growth?
I liked the part where it was talking about mentors, and it made me think back about the mentors I've had. And I think I've been really lucky I've had mentors in every sport and at schools. And I think I've really just taken them for granted and never really realized how much they've helped me and how much I've relied on them. And so I think reflecting on that was helpful for me. And it's just something interesting for me to think about. And I'll reflect on this more also, to think about who has been a part of my life that I haven't really thought about as much or taken for granted.
Yeah, I think in life we do have a tendency to take things for granted. And that's one thing I've gotten from Earl Nightingale, one of the forefathers of motivational speaking. You know, one of his sayings is familiarity breeds contempt. You know, so it's like a lot of times it's like your family, or you might have relatives that don't even take you serious. And those are the very ones that you need support from the most, you know, at certain times. So just something to think about it. You know, or that could be your friends at school. The person that you thought was your homeboy is the one that's hating on you or stabbing you in the back behind the scenes. You know, Elijah, tell us about what you thought about the video on growth.
I like how like the stress part, putting more stress on yourself, because I feel like sometimes I could get like comfortable where I'm at, you know, and I shouldn't be comfortable where I'm at, like. Or sometimes I could be like, oh, if the line did this, or if our quarterback was more focused. But sometimes I feel like I should just man up, you know, and just take over instead of, you know, being like pointing the finger. So just putting more stress on myself and knowing that that's a good thing, you know, because just knowing that's a good thing and not getting comfortable where I'm at, you know.
Yeah, that's real.
Because if you think about it, it's people on the East Coast that's my age that got 15 offers and they killing it, you know. And you know, I'm comfortable over here, but I'm not really competing with the dudes over here. I'm competing with the dudes over there because those are the dudes, you know.
Real
So
talk.
So I feel like I need to stop being so comfortable, and it's time for me to, you know, wake up.
Yeah, I can look at it from both sides, because on one end, it could be tough for you because you're in a lazy culture, a culture that don't really take football serious out here like they do in other states, and even just up north, up in Seattle. Y'all know that because y'all played Eastside Catholic.
Yeah,
you saw that culture. All them schools, even when you go on over to the other side, just Camas and Union.
Yeah,
different culture. You know, but definitely when you get up to the inner city in Seattle, or if you go down to Southern Cal, or you go to Jersey, you know what I mean, Virginia, Ohio, Florida, you know, it's a different culture. Now, the flip side of it is when you're out here, because you know it's a lazy culture, it kind of can make it easy for you because you know what to do. You know that only 99.9% of the dudes ain't gonna go through what you want to go through.
Yeah.
You know, so if you do that, you got a distinct advantage. So I would encourage you to think about some of these things for growth going into the off season, like right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Got you.
Yep. Who hasn't spoken? Who hasn't talked about growth yet?
For me, I think the biggest one would probably be the stress one also, not only because it's like the easiest one, but for me, it's going to LaSalle. It's kind of more like
you gotta quit fidgeting, man, because the I can hear it and it sound bad.
Okay, can you hear?
So try to stop moving.
Okay,
yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay,
yeah. So what did you think about the growth video?
I liked it. The one thing that I really liked about it was probably the stress part. Not only because it's kind of like one of the more easier ones, probably because of at the school I'm at now, it's more of an academic school more than a athletic school. And so with all the homework and stuff I'm doing, it's kind of like putting on a little bit of stress because I have all the homework, but yet I still have practice. And most like 5 out of 6 times I've practiced, we have 3.5 hour practices. And with that 3.5 hours, I can put toward homework, but instead I'm putting it toward practice. And so I think that's one thing that's kind of stressful because sometimes I'm not able to get my work done, which is kind of what brings my grade down. But that's pretty much the only thing I can really think of right now. But
Right. So you should be asking yourself, how can you better manage your time?
right, yeah,
Figure it out, because it ain't no way out. You have to figure it out because
Right.
you're at a school that's preparing you for college. That's why it's called a preparatory school. So
Yeah.
this is good. It's good stress. You see what I mean?
yeah.
Who's next? Who hasn't went? Everybody went.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna look at this end of the chapter quiz. Can y'all still hear me? I'll read these. And this is the end of the chapter. We're inside of the EDGE, which is my online course. EDGE is an acronym for effective action, discipline, having a growth mindset, and expansion in the form of reflective thinking. So this end of the chapter quiz number 1 is: which is not a strategy for growth? A, disengage from the opinions of others. B, redefine failure. C, simplify everything. D, blame, complain, defend. E, show kindness and good manners. What did y'all come up with? Huh?
D. It's D.
D.
Yeah.
Yeah,
D.
very true. So let's look at that. That's right. We can move on to the next one. Okay, to grow, you must A, manage stress. B, accept pressure. C, practice, complete, reflect. D, all of the above.
D.
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 All the
D.
above.
All the above.
So y'all only had 2 questions on that one. So let me switch the screen back, y'all. Yeah, can everybody see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Jay around? Kel, is Jay around?
Yeah, he's right here.
Yep. Candy, are you there?
Yeah, she's right.
Hey, Candy. What did you think of the video? What did you think of today's episode or session?
I think I am laying in the living room across the room, so I didn't watch it. But listening to it, it's really awesome to hear all these kids that, just seeing them grow. Like, it's like they get it. They're getting it, It's pretty powerful stuff.
Jay, what were some of your thoughts on today's video in our class?
Sure. Number one, on growth, I think the primary attribute that you have to have is a desire to grow. I don't think growth happens by accident. I think it has to be intentional, and you have to, again, not just want it, but you have to be committed to it. The other aspect that I just kind of like to share my thoughts on stress is in the career or environment. If you can't handle stress and if you can't manage stress, then you're not going to be very successful in any career situation, any career environment. And so learning how to deal with stress now in athletics, I think, will really help carry you beyond athletics as well. So those are my 2 thoughts.
Okay. Can y'all see this book?
Yep.
It is Performing Under Pressure. That's one that y'all will want to invest in. Performing Under Pressure.
Who's the author?
His name is Hendrie, Hendrie, Weisinger, Weisinger. So Performing Under Pressure by Dr. Weisinger. Most people call him Hank. If you do your due diligence, you'll see that I've interviewed him on the podcast. And he does a good job of oftentimes we interchangeably use stress and pressure as the same thing, and they're two different things, as you can see. Because pressure, if you go back to the video, there's always an outcome. Stress is something that you can manage, where you can add more or you can take some off of your plate. And that's the difference, but when you talk about pressure, there's going to be a win or loss or some type of a consequence. So I need y'all to understand that. Before we close out, is there anything else that y'all would like to add before we close out?
I just wanted to say thanks for last week's lecture, because it really helped me with my wrist and all. I've been struggling to find like motivation to go to the gym and to better myself. And also how I was kind of thinking was like, why would this matter if once I get in my cast, I'm not going to be able to do anything or whatever. But through finding my why, which is what we learned last week, I was able to overcome that. And now I'm going to do wrestling, even though, because we found out that the bone is broken. So there's really no going back. So it's just, we're going to wrestle anyway. So
Gabe, there's a few gentlemen that are here with us today that wasn't here last week. So you might want to, enlighten them on what's going on with your wrist.
Oh, okay. So for a while, so my wrist has been broken since last season. And I just kind of played through it. I did that football season, the most recent wrestling season, and then this football season. And I finally found out at the end of the season that my scaphoid bone was shattered. And they weren't sure, since it doesn't get very much blood flow. They weren't sure if the bone was still alive or dead. And so I had to get another x-ray, a CAT scan, and an MRI. And after all of that, they figured out that it's dead. They're going to have to graft a piece of my arm onto the bone, and I'll be in a cast for 6 months. But the surgery is going to take a while to get. And also, I would like to do my last wrestling season of high school. So I'm going to just do wrestling with the broken wrist, and like I did last season.
Yeah, that'd be a cold way to win a state championship.
Man.
Yeah, you can do it. It's guys that wrestle with one arm. You know what I mean?
I almost did it last year.
Right. What's that pain like?
It varies, but normally, like, sometimes when it gets jammed, like, it's excruciating, like almost like I can't. It's very distracting. Can't take my mind off of it. So I just try and keep it from doing that, and it's normally okay. And I've also found out this season that there's a better way that I can wrap it, where I get my thumb in there too, where it doesn't hurt as much. So I'm going to keep doing that, and it'll help.
Okay. Hey, Linda, I see you hanging out back there with Charles. Do you have any comments on our meetup tonight? What did you think?
Yeah, actually, we're really enjoying it, and it's a good thing to have our minds focused on positive things and tightening up a little on our activities and our thoughts. It's really helpful for me too.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you feel that way. I'm not into motivating adults yet.
Well, too late.
Yeah. This is good, y'all. I want to thank y'all for coming on. I want y'all to get some sleep. Focus on what you need to focus on, whether it's grades, coming up on the end of this term or quarter. Some of y'all are still in the playoffs. Just because the season is over, that doesn't mean, let your grades go to hell. It's important right now to keep mashing all the way into January till this term is over, or semester. So let's keep that in mind and handle your business. The Sports Mastery Workbook was created for the student athlete and the parent to work through together. The Sports Mastery Workbook was created for the student athlete and the coach to work through together. It was created in a sense and in a way to bridge the gap in communication between these parties and build a successful relationship dynamic. To learn more, visit sportsmastery.com/workbook or check out the show notes page and click on the link.